So this entire video is going to be dedicated to ornaments. I'm going to do this whole video on some last minute ornaments that I decided to DIY simply because I decided to change the theme of my Christmas tree at the last minute to a boho inspired theme. And so I didn't have the required ornaments for that. So I'm going to be making my own. And for most of these ornaments, I'm simply going to be using the Crafter Square wooden bead garlands, and these are the natural wooden ones, and they come in round as well as in square, and I'm going to be utilizing these beads for most of my ornaments. So to begin, I'm going to start with this here jute twine, and you can find this at your local Dollar Tree. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it in my hand and wrap it around my 4 fingers around 12 times. So this is really simple to do. So now that I got it wrapped around 12 times, I'm going to snip it right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a long enough piece that I can fold in half, because this is going to become our hanger to string our beads from, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So that looks about right there. All right, so here's my string that I folded in half, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to slide it in between the jute loops or whatever you call it, and I'm just going to string it out like that. And so this is what you should be left with, and so you have just a bunch of loops. So now what I'm going to be doing is I have some of these here elastic bands, and these are just like the regular rubber bands from the Dollar Tree that you use to put on the ends of your braids or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to temporarily put this over my tassel here just to hold it in place as such. Now the rubber band is totally optional, of course. I just find it a little bit easier to manipulate with the rubber band on. So now you're just gonna go on ahead and you're gonna cut out those loops. You're just gonna run your scissors right through them and cut every single loop, just as you see me doing here, and it's that simple. Now that you've cut all your loops, you'll want to give it a little trim just to, you know, even it out some so that it'll be more unified. And you don't have to get all fancy with it. Just simply, you know, cut into your desired preference, basically. And so now you have what's beginning to look like a tassel. Okay, so now I have another little piece of that jute that I cut off, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap it around. You know, the object is to cover that rubber band. So we're just going to make sure that we start and stop in the same spot so that all gluing is to be done in the same area, if you feel me. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit of hot glue, because I did go ahead and make a couple off camera, and I tried to use this super glue adhesive from the Dollar Tree, and for some odd reason I found out the hard way that super glue doesn't adhere to jute twine. So I had to bust out the trusty old glue gun. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and run a bead of hot glue right down there as such, and I'm going to slap that piece of jute right in it and hold it into place for about 10 seconds and just make sure that it adheres. And now I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to do the same exact thing on the opposite side. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. Try not to get carried away with the glue, because I don't want to burn the crap out of my fingers, and I don't want the tassel to be bathed and slathered in the hot glue. So that looks about right. Okay, so the main idea was to camouflage and cover up that elastic band that we had going on there, because we didn't want to see that bands anymore. And feel free to pick off any unsightly pieces of glue. And so now what I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this here masking tape, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a piece on the tips of this jute, and I'm going to try to make it like a fine needle point. So now that I have my makeshift needle point here that I created with my masking tape, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take about 4 of these here natural wood beads, and I'm just going to simply thread them through onto my little tassel. Sometimes the hole on the tassel is not quite as pronounced, you know, because it was threaded on a thinner string, but that's the purpose of, you know, putting the masking tape. So you kind of have to, you know, manipulate it and force it through, but it'll work, you know, you just got to keep on. So I'm going to be using around 4 of these beads because I think 4 is the magic number and it looks about right. So once I get this 4th bead on here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie it in a knot, and I'm going to create my hanger. And if you see what I'm doing here, I'm simply just tying it in a knot. I'm looping that top portion where I had the makeshift little needle at, and I'm just creating a knot there and creating a loop long enough to string it, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess, and voila, there you have it, a stinking cute little boho inspired ornament. Very natural, very organic, and I love it. So now I just got to do this 5 more times. Now for this next boho inspired DIY ornament, I have some of these here wooden rings. These are from the Dollar Tree as well. I just have them here inside this little container. They came in a pack of, I think, 6 or 8 or something like that. And so I'm just going to go ahead, and now I thought I was recording, and clearly I did not hit record, but I was pre-cutting all of my macrame. And this macrame cord, by the way, you can also get it at your local Dollar Tree. Everything here is 100% Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is, if you see what I'm doing here, I cut a bunch of pieces, roughly, I want to say about 6 inches. So I cut the 6-inch pieces. So now I'm going to fold it in half, and they're going to be 3-inch pieces. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to insert that into my loop, and then I'm going to bring the 2 ends into the bottom half of the loop, and I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to make a slip knot. And that's all she wrote. That's all there is to it. I'm going to continue to do this in this fashion, and I'm going to use roughly about 8 of these per one of these little you know, round wooden circles. I'm going to use 8. So I'm going to continue, and it's just, you know, repetitious, you know. So you just put on a podcast or the radio or a TV show or whatever, and you sit here and you relax and you continue to make these until your heart is content. All right. So now that I have all 8 of my little macrame knots tied around that ring, I'm going to come in here with my trusty little pet grooming tool here. No, I don't have any pets. This is strictly for crafting purposes only. And I'm going to go ahead off camera, and I'm going to brush these out because this is, I mean, I know some people like ASMR, but this is a little bit much because you're going to hear the scraping against, you know, the board here. So I'll come back. All right, so now that I went and brushed out my strands, I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it a little trim, and I'm going to try to even this out to the best of my ability. And I'm going to go like in a fan shape. I'm going to try to fan it out to give it that, you know, shape. Okay, and you should be left with something that looks like this. It looks about right. Remember, this is 100% homemade and organic, so you're not going to get all of them uniform and completely even, and some of them will probably be shorter or longer, and that's okay. That's the beauty of it because it's a DIY, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a piece of this here jute. Same thing like with the other ornaments. I'm going to fold it in half because this is going to become our twine hanger as well. Okay, so you're going to take your twine hanger that's folded in half. You're going to loop it through that wooden rounds, and then you're going to pull it through just like you did with the macrame. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to thread on some of these here square. These are the square ones. They're not round like the other ones. So we're going to try to thread these through. And I'm only going to use 2 for these so that I could, you know, differentiate a little. And that's about right. So once you thread the second one through, now you're going to go ahead and create your hanger right about there. And you're going to tie your little knot just like we did with the other ones. And that looks about right there. I don't want the hanger to be too short or too long. I think that looks about right. And now I'm just going to cut off the excess here. And voila, you have yourself a stinking little adorable bohemian inspired natural wooden organic ornament, and I love it. Now for this next really simple ornament, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off another piece of that jute, and we're going to have it folded in half, doubled up just like all the other ones. And I'm going to start by taking the bottom part that's folded in half, and I'm going to just make a simple knot. Just no rhyme or reason, just a regular simple knot. Okay, so the purpose of the knot is so that the beads don't slide all the way out. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to string some of these beads onto that piece of jute. And see, that's the purpose of knotting it at the end. And so for this particular one, it's so simple. I'm simply just going to use 5 of these beads. And that's all she wrote, because I'm going to keep it simple and sweet. So I'm going to use 2 of the round on the bottom, and then I'm going to use a square one in the middle, and then I'm going to put 2 more round ones on top of that square one, and that's all she wrote. Okay, now that I got my last round bead strung through, that's it for this DIY. I'm going to go ahead and knot it off just like I've done with all the other ones. I'm going to tie it in a simple knot, and I'm going to create my little hanger to hang it with on the tree, and then I'm going to cut off the excess, just as so. And there you have it. You have a stinking adorable little beaded ornament to hang off the tree, and I think it looks cute. All right, so here's a look at what I got going on with those DIY ornaments. I did about a half a dozen of each set, so that equals to 18 ornaments, and I'm good with that number for now. If I need to make more, I'll make more, but this might not be everybody's cup of tea. It is a little time consuming. However, it just gives me those vibes of back in the days, you know, old school. People used to string popcorn and cranberries on their trees. You know, if they didn't have it to go out and run and buy ornaments, they made do with what they had, and they made it look fabulous. So these are the kind of vibes that I'm getting with this, and I hope I inspire you to think outside the box as well. All right, so for this next simplistic DIY ornament idea, I have a couple of these transparent shatterproof ornaments from the Dollar Tree, and these are just, you know, from the regular DIY ornament collection line at Dollar Tree. And I have a bag of these latex balloons in different colors, and I'm wearing my gloves. These are vinyl because I have a sensitivity to latex, go figure. And so yeah, we're not trying to do all of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these balloons and I'm gonna try to stretch the crap out of it and put it over this ornament. We'll see. So the best I could do is cut. You got to trim the collar off because clearly it's not gonna stretch enough with that collar on. And it's gonna be hard to do on camera with these gloves on, but you get the gist of it. I'm trying my best to open up the neck here so that I can stretch it on to the balloon. Yeah, so you guys know I like to be completely transparent with you here on my channel. So this DIY is a scratch. 2 out of 10, do not recommend. It's just, yeah, too much. First of all, I barely got it onto this little small, I mean, the idea and the concept was nice because I really like the way that it looks. It really transformed this little clear, transparent, shatterproof ornament. And the aesthetics overall is the A+, but there's no way I'm going to get that balloon on this big one. So stay tuned to find out what I come up with for this, because yeah, this is not going to work. And had I had to do a bunch of them, yeah, there's no way. So I'm glad I at least got to experiment with the one, and I do like the way that it came out. So it will go on my tree, but it's going to be lonesome. So I just had to share that with you. All right, so for this next ornament craft, I have these 2 green colors here. One is a lime sherbet and the other one is a Christmas green. One is too light, one is too dark. So I'm going to try to mix them together to see if I could come up with the happy medium and obtain the color that I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to squeeze in a decent amount of that sherbet color. And then I'm going to squeeze in some of the Christmas green. Give it a little mixy mix. And see if it comes out to the shade that I'm trying to obtain. All right, and there you go. And now I have the perfect Grinchy green, which is what I was going for. So now I have another one of these shatterproof, clear, transparent ornaments from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to take some of that paint and I'm going to pour it into this ornament as such and swish it around. And I'm going to try to get it to cover the entire ornament. I might have poured out too much, but we're going to make it work, guys. We're going to make it work. All right, so here's a look at what we got going on. I gave it complete coverage all the way around. I'm draining it out back into the paint cup so that I don't waste any paint. And then I'm going to sit it here on this plastic cup to completely dry before moving on to the next step. All right, so here's a look at what that ornament should look like now that it's had a chance to set up and dry. So now we can move on to the next step. First things first, for starters, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that cap back on just by simply squeezing the top. So now we got our cap on. So now what to do next is I ordered these here decals off of Amazon simply because I wanted to make this craft as simple as possible without having to bust out the Cricut, and to show you guys that you don't always need to have a Cricut to do these things. If I can remember to put the link down below in my description bar, I will. If not, you can always just search Grinch decals and it'll come up on Amazon. So these are just different little Grinchy faces. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut one out to put on our little ornament. And this is going to be so simple to do. You're simply just going to, oh wow, I thought it was the whole thing that peels up. So I guess you got to put it on individually. Yes, so you're going to want to take your time and be careful with this because you want to center it to the best of your ability. So yeah, I guess I'll start with the mouth first. So here's what we got going on with the mouth. They're pretty forgiving, I guess. You know, you can peel them up and stick them back on if you need to. So I'm going to put the little nose thingamajiggy, this little squiggly thing is going to go right in the center. And there's that. If we need to reposition it, I'll just peel it back up. So I guess, you know, now that's left is to do the eyes and finish it off. So let's do it. Nothing to it but to do it. So we got the right eye, and you don't have to make it perfect per se, because you know Grinch makes all these little ugly mean faces, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I guess that'll work right there. And then next we're gonna do the brows, and we should have a complete face. All right, so now once I get that other brow down, our face is complete. So next I have this little Dollar Tree Santa hat. I have it left over from last year. It actually had a sticky tab on it, and I pulled it off. And I'm going to try to see if I could glue it to the side here some way. Decals are pretty cool, man. I like the fact that they're pretty forgiving and you can reposition them when need be, because you know, the hat was going to be covering too close to the eyes. So I decided to move it a little bit so that I can put the hat to the side like that. So to do so, I'm simply just going to take some of this here super glue, simply because I don't want to bust out the hot glue gun, and plus the heat from the hot glue will probably melt it. So I'm going to try to be very careful with this super glue, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to slap some on so that we can get this project completed. And so you want to make sure you position it to the best of your ability. And that looks about right. And I'm going to hold it in place for 10 seconds. Okay, 10 out of 10. I highly recommend. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. These Amazon little decals are the bomb.com. So if you were thinking of taking the plunge, go for it. Not only are they repositionable and forgiving, but I did get a little seepage from underneath the Santa hat. The glue was kind of oozing, and so I just was able to grab a regular cleaning wipe and wipe it down. I thought for a minute that it was going to lift up, you know, the decal or mess it up, if you will, and it didn't. So I'm really, really loving this. So this is the finished product. Like I said, 10 out of 10. I highly recommend, and I hope you'll give it a try. All right, so for this next DIY, I'm going to call it a 2-for, because I wasn't even sure if I was going to record this, because I did something kind of similar last year using Barbie, but I decided my grandson is a die-hard Paw Patrol fan, and he gravitates more towards Chase, so I purchased this little Nickelodeon 6-pack of the Paw Patrol characters off of Amazon, and like I said, he gravitates more towards Chase, so we're going to be using the Chase. And I was playing around with some of these little miniatures from Dollar Tree to see if I can get, like, you know, maybe a tree or a pine cone or something. We'll play around with it and see. And then this, my other 6-year-old granddaughter is obsessed with Wednesday, so I ordered this keychain actually off of Temu, and it came all connected. So all I did was I cut off the top of the little loop that it was attached, and so we're going to use Wednesday for this one. And to glue them down, I'm simply just going to use this super glue from the Dollar Tree, and that's all she wrote. And I'll probably put a little bit of snow inside. I'm tossed between using some of the bubble snow, or maybe even some Epsom salt or whatever from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to put it together and show you what it looks like. All right, so here's what we got going on. And Wednesday gave me the hardest time for the longest, because she's got some weight to her. And so the super glue kept slipping and sliding because of her big bobblehead. So I had to end up putting this little fence post behind her to give her some kind of support until the glue set up. And so now she just looks like she's standing in front of her school or something, getting ready to leave, to go home for Christmas vacation. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I got her glued down, and then I got Chase glued down with his little setup. He's got Frosty and the tree in the background. So now I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm recycling some of this here Epsom salt. And I'm just going to put some in the dome of the lid. I don't want to overdo it and do too much because I don't want to weigh it down. I think that's about enough. And so now all I have to do is take the cap and turn it upside down. Hopefully it'll close. And there you have it. All right. So now we just twist the cap on nice and tightly, turn it upside down, and we might have to pour out some of that. See what I mean about putting too much? Because now it's covering everything up, so we're gonna have to dump some out. And there you have it. Always remember, less is more. You don't need a lot of that snow. A little bit goes a long way, and now they don't look like they're drowning. Same thing with little Wednesday over here. I'm still letting her set up and dry a little bit because she's still kind of a little bit wobbly, but I put the snow in there as well, not too much. And so I might put some vinyl decals on them that say 2023, Christmas 2023 or whatever. I'll figure it out, but basically you get the gist of it, and this is the concept. So now I have Paw Patrol signature Christmas 2023 souvenir ornament, and a Wednesday one for both of my grandchildren that they could have to display for years to come. And I hope this inspires you.